But let's return now to the Middle East Quartet, and we're joined from London by our guest, Sharif Hikmat Nashashibi. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. What did you make of that news conference there, and what's actually been achieved in concrete terms by the Quartet in this latest meeting?
Well, I think what's been achieved is nothing, to be honest. We've been here before many times. This is not the first Quartet meeting. This is not the first Quartet statement or press conference. We've heard all this before. There's been no tangible process for implementing the things that the Quartet are saying that they would like to achieve. I just feel that this is another talking shop, and I don't think anything is going to come out of it because there is no process for achieving it.
So we heard Condoleezza Rice saying there that the Quartet had been much more active in the last little while. Do you think they've been active and actually not achieving very much?
Well, they've been actively talking, but I mean, what are they actually going to do on the ground, and how are they going to implement what they're saying? The Quartet has never really gotten off the ground in terms of that. All it's done is talk, and what we've heard is nothing new. So I'm very cynical that this is going to make a difference where previous Quartet efforts have failed.
They are promising, though. They were saying the one concrete thing was a meeting between the Quartet and the Israelis and Palestinians in June.
Well, okay, what they're promising is more talking. They're not promising to actually do anything. There is no mechanism for implementing what they would like. And as long as there is a lack of a mechanism, then people can talk all they like, and the Quartet has been talking for a long time, but they have made very little difference on the ground since its inception.
What do you think they could do? I mean, would there be moves that you would say would make a difference on the ground?
Well, I think there has to be punitive measures if the parties to the conflict fail to abide by international law and UN resolutions. I mean, these are the backbone of the international order. And whereas you have at the moment, punitive measures against countries such as Iran and Sudan, if Israel is treated as above the law, then we will never see peace in this region. I mean, there is no incentive for Israel to do anything to achieve justice for the Palestinians, because it is the stronger party in this conflict, and yet there is no pressure on it to abide by UN resolutions and international law. Unless there is any pressure, nothing will change on the ground. I mean, the Quartet, the ludicrous thing about Quartet statements is that they constantly seem to portray Israel and the Palestinians as equal parties in this conflict with equal responsibilities and equal blame and equal suffering. Well, this is simply not the case. And as long as the Quartet behaves as if these are two equal parties, we're not going to get anywhere. One party is occupied with no power. The other one is the occupier with all the power. Israel has to be treated like any other member of the United Nations and must be held to account and to abide by international law and the UN's resolutions just like any other country.
So things like the urgent appeal, as they put it, to restore the ceasefire immediately, do you think that'll be listened to by either side?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, it's interesting to note that the Quartet called for Palestinians to halt violence. There was no reciprocal call for Israel to halt its violence. There was the Quartet told the Palestinians to release immediately and unconditionally the Israeli soldier that's been held captive. However, there was no immediate or unconditional release called for the Palestinian legislators that Israel is holding. They were just, asked to release them. I mean, the Quartet seems to not really be in touch with the reality on the ground in this conflict. That one side has all the power, the other has none, and they really have to kind of move away from these regular cliches that are constantly put out in their statements, and really face the reality on the ground and see that one side has the power to act at will, the other one is an occupied people, and they can't be portrayed as somehow having equality.
Okay, Hikmat Nashashibi, Chairman of Arab Media Watch, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.